Hey gang, Uncle Todd and Sonny here. And for our next review on this early summer month, we are looking at the second film that was co-produced by Ken Curtis of Gunsmoke fame and local radio station owner entrepreneur Gordon McClendon. Oh, he also owned theaters. And first one was The Killer Shrews, which I did few years back. This one is Giant Gila Monster, which stars 50s, late 50s, early 60s teen heartthrob Don Sullivan. If you want more information about his career, that'll be in my review of Monster of Piedras Blancas, which I did a couple of summers ago. As I said, this was a co-production of Ken Curtis and Gordon McClendon, and played in a double bill with their other film, Killer Shrews, both of which have been riffed on Mystery Science Theater. The only other major star here, well, almost two. First is Ken Knox, who is an actual DJ that worked for Gordon McClendon, and he plays a DJ, Steamroller Smith, in this film. And the other is the actor playing the sheriff, Fred Graham, who has a list of credits of over 500 films and TV shows. He was originally a stuntman at Republic, so he appeared in a lot of westerns and serials, and usually when they would have stuntmen, especially in their serials, they would also play henchmen for one chapter, of which they could then get in a fight and get killed off in that chapter. And as things progressed into the 50s, late 40s, early 50s, it was harder and harder to get actors because TV was a little more lucrative at that time, and serials weren't as popular, and they were using a lot of previous footage and then creating new footage to wrap around the old footage. And most of the stuntmen at the studio at that point began having major acting roles, usually as the head henchman. There was, Fred Graham, of course. You also had Dale Van Sickle and Tom Steele. Those are the two major stuntmen who really perfected the Republic style of fighting. They fought constantly. They would often double the lead actors, and the actors would be hired less for their acting ability and more for their height and stature and face that could more match with the stuntmen, doubling them. Anyways, Fred Graham, as he got older, he became more of an actor, appearing in a lot of TV shows and Western films in the 50s and 60s. I think his last credit was from 73. And a lot of small parts and like supporting roles. This is probably his biggest acting role outside of a serial. And we open, as all good giant monster flicks should open, with a couple in a car. That's a good opening right there. Love the little and coming down. I guess it'd be more like, no, wait a minute, like that. Anyway, next, we are introduced to Chase, our hero. His foreign exchange student girlfriend, I guess you'd say, foreign exchange. Well, she's from France. And his gang at the malt shop.
Where's Pat and Liz? I thought we'd be the last ones here. Yeah, they're probably out spooking around somewhere. Maybe they broke down. Not in his heat. I worked on it myself.
So, we know he's a really good mechanic. After some good-natured joshing with the local town drunk that comes in to get some sody pop.
Kids.
Much to wait. All these problems are getting me down.
We then cut over to the Wheeler house, which is the young man in the beginning. His father is called in the sheriff. Wheeler owns most of the business and basically runs the whole town, if not the county. And he's upset about his son not getting home.
Your son, Pat, he's about 19, isn't he? That's right. Just a year older than I was when I got married. You think they eloped? He wouldn't dare. I didn't say that. But if they were out together all night, you better hope they have.
Ah, yeah. Those 50s mores again. We also learn that Wheeler has a really big hate on for Chase. Thinks he's a bad influence on all the kids. And the sheriff defends him. You know, ever since Chase's father got killed on one of Wheeler's rigs, he's been the sole provider for his mother and crippled sister. And he's the only one who keeps those other kids from getting into trouble. Oh, we also learned that Wheeler wants to be the sheriff too, so he can run everything. One of those kinds. Anyways, next we get the sheriff who pops over to talk to Chase, and we get a recurring motif in this flick.
Just between us, Liz Humphreys and Pat Wheeler didn't get home last night. Oh. They were supposed to meet us at the drive-in, but they didn't show up. We wondered what happened.
Yeah, get used to that pose of someone putting their leg up on something, because everybody does it throughout this film. It's almost a running joke. Anyways, we get this little bit of a cryptic conversation that I'm sure 50s kids understood completely.
Were they in any kind of trouble? What do you mean? You know. No, I don't think so.
Trouble. You know, the kind where the girlfriend is late.
Sex.
Yeah. Anyways, the sheriff also learns that the Wheeler boy had saved up quite a wad of cash. They could have gotten married indeed. Although a quick conversation with the girl's parents showed that she'd have never just run off like that. She's a good girl. Then after some more shenanigans with the town drunk, this time with the sheriff.
Horace? Morning, Sheriff. Let me smell your breath. Okay, go ahead. Okay.
To wait. All these problems are getting me down.
We meet Chase's boss, who has been bringing a load of nitro for Wheeler's mining operations.
But with that cargo, I was afraid to do over 5 miles an hour. It's not so dangerous as long as it's in a nitro case. But I took these out of the case. Holy smoke. You're lucky to be standing here talking about it. I'll put it in the shed.
Nitro. Wonder if that'll have any bearing later on in the flick.
Could be.
Well, we'll just keep that in mind. Anyways, this is the kind of place where there's a party line, so different people get different rings when, like the police and the fire and all that. And Chase hears the sheriff's ring, and he listens in and learns there's an abandoned car. So, looking to make some extra money, he heads out with the wrecker. And he and the sheriff see something very strange about this car wreck.
This engine's still warm. Say, did you see the skid marks out here? They go at a direct right angle to the direction of travel.
That is odd. Engine's still warm. perpendicular skid marks? No driver? Well, while the car is being hooked up to be towed in, it's a traveling salesman hitching. Boy, he's a hungry little cuss. Big cuss. Anyways, on the way back, Chase finds the suitcase. Sheriff takes it. It's very odd, again. And then Chase makes a little detour to the Wheeler house before going home. He gets some smooches from his foreign exchange girlfriend, who tells him that Wheeler's given her an ultimatum. She stops seeing Chase, or he'll send her back to France, because she's French. Chase, he reassures her that's not going to happen. I don't know. Wheeler seems kind of mean. The next day, Steamroller Smith is driving home after a all-night party. Wait a minute. That's not a Gila monster. That's a beaded lizard. Well, probably just as well. Gilas are poisonous, and on a film shoot you don't want anyone getting bitten when you're on a time constraint. Anyways, Chase just happens to be coming along with his truck, and he helps the guy out. We get a little bit of comedy with drunken shenanigans in which he thinks he can still drive even though Chase has pulled the car out of the ditch and it's still up. And Chase kind of ignores the thing about a large pink and black snake that went across the road. And that's why he wrecked. The guy goes and sleeps it off, and Chase repairs his car. And then when he wakes up, they have a friendly little talk over the bill.
How about $2? Man, this coffee's worth $2 all by itself. How about the tow? No, I was coming this way anyway. I missed out on a little studying time. Make it $3.
Not much of a negotiator. $2.50 for a tow and pounding out a fender. Well, he gives him his business card and some cash, and guess who he turns out to be?
Steamroller Smith, the disc jockey. Mr. Smith! $2.20s.
Wow. Now, in this scene, we have also learned that Chase is taking a correspondence course in engineering, and we had heard him singing while he was repairing the car. So, him being a disc jockey, I'm sure that won't have any more bearing on the plot. Don't you?
Perhaps.
Anyway, the sheriff comes up, and he's wanting Chase's help. He needs his statement that about the skid marks, and also notices that the wheels from that car are now on Chase's hot rod. Chase had bald tires, and well, the sheriff's not going to push it. He figures, if people who own the car want the tires, Chase can give them back. What he really came up for was to ask Chase if he and his friends could help him search for his friend's car. He can't seem to find them anywhere. Well, Chase says sure, and he and his friends head out. They cover a lot of the roads, and then there's only just this long gully they have to go through, where we get a lot of shots of the Gila Monster prowling around, and the kids talking and putting legs up on logs and things. And then they finally make a discovery.
It's Pat's car at the bottom of the wash. 2 or 3 miles back by the old reservoir. Were they in it? No, nothing. Drive me back to my car and I'll bring up the record.
Well, they found the car, but nobody with it. Well, Chase gets his tow truck, tows it in, calls the sheriff. When the sheriff gets there, he's a little peeved. They should have left it where it was so he could look for clues, do detective stuff. But Chase, he's going to close up the shop because his boss is out getting a little fuel oil for Mr. Wheeler. And then, as he's driving that fuel oil back, looks like he's getting a hot meal tonight.
Very funny.
Okay, so I'm not the best comedian. Anyways, Chase returns home that night, and remember how I'd mentioned that he's been taking care of his disabled sister? Well, we get the heartwarming moment of the film.
Look what Lisa got me. Stay there, Chase. Watch.
Yep. First time she's walked in a long time. And as she mentioned, Lisa paid for him, his girlfriend. So we get a little banter about how he's going to give her the money he was going to use the next day to pay for those braces, and she refusing. But he's so happy, he whips out his miniature banjo and sings the Mushroom Song because he's a rock and roller. Anyways, he learns of the tragic accident of his boss. Now he's out of a job. And sheriff just happens to mention to him that, he's been getting a lot of reports of livestock missing. Well, next day, the gang learns something important over the radio.
Get lonesome for my voice. I'll be emceeing a flatter party tonight out at Hargitay's Barn on Route 43. Drop in. I'll flatten you. Hey, man, that's us. We got the steamroller coming out. That's where Chase has been all day, getting steamrolled.
That Chase, he is quite the salesman. Got Steamroller to come back. Of course, he was hoping to keep it a secret, but then Steamroller had to go and tell everybody. Anyway, that night, the night of the party, our Gila Monster is getting a little bold. Like I said, bold. Luckily, the town drunk was there as a witness, and he went back and told the sheriff, and the sheriff promptly locked him up. Now, Chase is going with Lisa to the dance, of course. His sister Missy is staying over at a friend's house. So, the sheriff, he's getting an idea, and he calls up Chase, asks him if he still has that book about reptiles, and Chase says sure, and he takes it over to the sheriff, and we get the sheriff's theory of what he thinks going on.
Just found the bones of some huge animals down in Tanganyika, and the theory was that they lived in kind of river delta country, and certain salts had washed into the valley, been absorbed by the plants, and then transferred to the animals, causing them to be giants. Did you see any footprints around any of those wrecks?
No. Gila Monster footprints?
Yeah, a big one, about the size of a bus.
It's all starting to make sense. Chase remembers that DJ, and he said he saw something like that. That's why he wrecked. And there's other witnesses now. Could very well be.
This just about solves the mystery.
Well, he sends Chase off to the dance to have a good time. And fortunately, he also gets a call from Wheeler. Wants to see him right now. And he's very upset. He's been learning it's Chase who found that car, and Chase who took those tires off that other car. And he is now demanding that the sheriff arrest Chase, and then he's no longer going to be sheriff. And he's going with him to make sure. So they head for the dance, where Steamroller is playing a new artist, and he's rocking out. And then he asks if anyone knows who this artist is.
Okay. It's going to come out on records in a couple of months, and you can find his name on the label.
I know it is.
Come on, tell us.
Sam did it.
Chase is also going to be a rock star, as well as an engineer and tow truck driver and hot rodder. Anyways, Steamroller calls him up, and we get another rendition of the Mushroom Song. At which point, the sheriff and Wheeler show up, and the sheriff refuses to interrupt the performance. That's right. And guess who decides to crash the party? No, not up the stairs. He's not seen the rest of the film, so maybe at least the Gila Monster got something there. Although he must be pretty hungry, considering he had a whole trainload of people earlier. Anyways, sheriff chases him off with some well-placed shotgun shells, and he deputizes Wheeler, gives him his badge, and tells him to keep all the kids there. He heads out after it. Chase jumps in his hot rod. He's got a plan and races back to the shed at the garage. And fortunately, Lisa has decided she's helping, so she won't get out of the car. So he has her hold the nitro. Oh. And guess where the Gila Monster struck next?
Good Lord, he's hit the Blackwell home. That's where Missy is. Mrs. Blackwell. Missy.
No one's there. Were they eaten? Did they get away? He's got to find out. Thank goodness. Nothing worse than killing a kid in a movie like this. Well, leaving Lisa to take care of Missy and have them get down, he heads off to take care of the Gila Monster. The day is saved, and all he had to sacrifice was his just completed hot rod. Well, the sheriff assures him that insurance comes from the train company. Will probably buy him a new one. He's got the record contract now with Steamroller Smith. The evidence of his thievery burned up, And Wheeler's had a change of heart because he couldn't control the kids and realized how tough the sheriff's job is, and I'm getting to it. And gives Chase a job at the company that killed his father. Boy, talk about luck. Now, although this has been on Mystery Science Theater, and it had good reasons to be on Mystery Science Theater, I find this actually to be a smarter and well-made film for what it was. It has got some really good moments in it. It is a perfect 50s teen film. You got rock and roll, you got an engaging lead, you got a monster, and as things go, Chase is a pretty good guy. He's a little too good. I mean, they throw a lot of stuff on him. His father died. He's working like 4 jobs to make money to pay for his sister's leg braces. Almost gets put in jail, but comes out at the end with a record contract and a job and all kinds of stuff. And his girlfriend's not going to get deported. Isn't that great? And let's face it, Sullivan's a good actor. That scene of him watching his sister walk, he plays it just right. Tugs at the heartstrings. Fred Graham, good performance, excellent even. He's sort of like an early version of, say, Andy Taylor from the Andy Griffith Show, or some other easygoing sheriffs. You know, he's smart, but he's not like totalitarian as he's got a badge, as we know Wheeler would have been, throwing his weight around. He knows his job and he's good at it, and very engaging performance by Graham. He really is likable in this role, which is interesting considering how many mean, nasty characters he played in westerns and serials. I mean, if you've ever seen like Trader Tom of China Seas or some of his other work, he's just nasty as all get out. You know, has the rigor for a serial villain. Most of the other acting's the French accent's okay, I guess. She might even be French. I didn't really look her up. And the effects of the lizard being a regular sized lizard on little small sets, very reminiscent of like the original 1 million BC from Hal Roach, in which they just pasted stuff on lizards and then had them superimposed over footage, although they didn't do any superimposing on this one. Low budget. Come to think of it, Irwin Allen's Lost Continent did the same thing, even though Ray Harryhausen was probably available. Anyway, this is a fun film. A lot of good humor, a lot of antics, except for the rather poor special effects. It's not that bad a film, and it's rather, considering the time period, it's rather a good vision of teenagers, or late 20s teenagers, that they weren't all juvenile delinquents and in gangs. And I think on the whole, it's a better film than its reputation has given it. Please hit like, share, and subscribe, and stay after the credits for my favorite scene.